All right, guys. As a staff, trying to find a way this week to close out a game. These last two games, or both games that we were ahead with 3 minutes to go in the contest, and we did not finish the game, and two opportunities to really change the season. Right now, we could be sitting 6-4 if we could have finished out the last two games, but the reality of it is we're 4-6, and so now the more important pressing issue is a very tough road trip to Appalachian State this weekend against a very good football team that has played awfully well this year. They're very, very good defensively, and we'll have to have a great plan for these guys this week. Got to play 4 quarters. And getting back to last week's game, each week we mentioned that after the game Saturday night, our team each week sort of waiting to see who's going to show up, the offense, the defense, and for the most part defensively it had been showing up the last couple of weeks, and offense, it really hadn't quite been where they wanted to be. And then I thought offensively, we made a lot of plays. I thought Jamal Robinson had a great game. I think almost 200 yards receiving, and I'm hoping that he will continue on that hot streak. He's playing awfully well. Elijah made some nice runs and looked more like the Elijah of old, so I'm hoping he continues that progress too. Defensively, putting some new players at some new positions. Javante Watson played safety, and that didn't work out too well. Travis Crawford wasn't able to play last week because of an injury. We thought he might be able to go, but he didn't get the start because of missed practice time because of the injury. And Javante went back there, and we just didn't have the game that he normally has, the way he normally plays at corner, I should say. He didn't look very comfortable at safety, and obviously we didn't have our best game at safety where we gave up two quick scores. But he'll go back to corner where he's really good. He's had a really good year there when he's been able to play and been able to play healthy. We've got to do a better job defensively taking our gap. Was out of gap quite a few times throughout the game that allowed for some runs, where if guys would just do their job and do their gap, we would be much better defensively. A lot of times, you're talking to your coaches about, hey, we can't, don't want to do this, give up this play, don't want to do this to give up this play. But when you go back and watch the film, it was evident there was a couple of calls that our defensive staff was dead on, that we did not execute. And obviously it's a team loss, coaches, players, but everybody's got to take on. As players have to do their job, coaches got to do their job too. But we did not play as well defensively in quite a few areas that really hurt us on some big plays that should not have been there. So we'll improve there. Kicking game, it was great to see a couple of kids step up because during pregame warm-up we found out that Stevie is not feeling very good with his leg. He's real tight. Don't think he's going to be able to kick. He wanted to give it a shot. And then, as you saw, he missed his first field goal and then barely made the extra point, so made the decision there not to go with him. And I moved Aaron Bird into the field goal spot. And, boy, what a job that kid did. He came through 2 for 2 on field goals, perfect on his extra points. And then Carlos did a great job on his kickoffs. And so I thought that was great to see some more young kids when the opportunity comes. But when the trainers told me they didn't think he was going to be able to kick right there before kickoff, and he'd been fine all week long, I was just like, I wasn't even surprised. It didn't faze me a bit at this point in the season with so many other things. We just said, hey, next man up. And I didn't tell Aaron Bird that he was going to kick the extra point or field goal until it was 30 seconds before he ran on the field. I didn't want him thinking about it, so I didn't even tell him. So about that time, it was time to kick it. I said, Aaron, hey, you're going to kick. He looked at me like I was kidding with him. I said, I'm serious. Going in, take off. And so he ran out there and did a great job. So I didn't want him thinking about it for 30 minutes before his first kick, and I was really, really proud of him. Kids continue to play hard, work hard. We're not playing great right now as a team, like we mentioned that earlier. Some areas we're seeing a lot of good progress, and then I thought defensively we regressed a little bit, and that came down to guys just not doing their job, missing assignments, things like that. Offensively, we progressed, especially with Jamal and Eli's production. And I thought that was a huge plus too. So moving forward, we got another big challenge like we talked about at the beginning of the press conference with App State. This is a team that's very good football team. But they started out their season last year. I don't think they started out very well. They got hot at the end of the season, and then came in at our place where we had a chance to win the conference championship outright, and they came in here and knocked us off, and so they're still in contention. So obviously our players wouldn't love to do anything more than to do the same, and so we've got a good football team, and we just have not played 4 quarters and not played together. But I know this, our kids are excited about this trip to North Carolina. We've had a great week of practice. Our last night was a good night of practice. We're coming together. We're starting to see some leadership step up, and some leadership. It's some good time right now. I told you it's never a bad time for leadership. Would have wished it would have came a little earlier, but the leadership has been really positive. Our guys moving forward, they really want just the guys that are committed to finishing this season strong, as we've got 2 more opportunities to get bowl eligible, beginning with this week. If we don't get one this week, then that goes out of the picture. So, but still being in bowl contention, I think still gives these guys a little bit to fight for, and I still think they really are determined to work hard, have a good week of practice. So, still the kids, their kids' attitudes and their work ethic has been solid. Our play has not been up to where we would like it to be, but hopefully we can continue improving. So, any questions?
Coach, how effective do you feel Darzel can be with that arm? It seems like at times the other night, he was fighting. He was trying to tackle the guy Allen, and at times he just couldn't. He couldn't grasp with that arm very well, and he was really tackling basically with one arm.
Well, if he would get to his right gap, he would have a lot shorter distance to go and be a lot easier to tackle the guy. That would help more than anything. And so, that part of it, the physical part, is I don't think playing that big a deal. But we've got to be gap responsibility, and that's one situation. The other night we did not take our gaps very often, and that was the most disappointing thing.
How do you try to disrupt Taylor Lamb's flow?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a challenge. He's a coach's son, and I've had 2 coaches' sons play for me in the past. And there's something about those coaches' sons at quarterback. You tell he grew up around the game. Nothing shakes him. He understands the game, the flow of the game. It makes a difference. And to me, he's just a sophomore, if I'm not mistaken. The kid is an excellent quarterback. He makes their offense go. And I don't know if you stop a guy like that, you just sort of hope to slow him down and not let him just beat you. But we're going to have to do a good job with him. He can run the ball. He can throw the ball. He's a very effective player.
Both Brooks and Darzel said chemistry has been an issue for this team this year. Why do you think that is? They kind of brought up different guys playing in different situations, and it's hard to kind of get.
It is. That's probably been one of the biggest issues of the year. I think that's a great statement by them. I'm talking about chemistry. Effort's been there. We've mentioned injuries, that's documented, but the chemistry part, when you have injuries and you're piecemealing an offense together, a defense, you're moving guys position to position each week, it's hard to develop a little bit of chemistry where you just learn to fit and learn to work together. Just like Javante going to safety all of a sudden last week after playing corner all year. And you're having a new chemistry with the other safeties, and it just didn't work. We were trying to get our best 11 tacklers on the field, best 11, but just his inexperience at safety showed, and not to his fault. He gave a great effort and played awfully hard. We just weren't successful with that. So that's another example of chemistry, of just moving people around is not been very effective for us. Some positions were not as deep as other positions where you could have just said next man up. By not being able to say next man up, we had to move people from position to position, and that goes into the chemistry part of it too. And then a lot of times also the team chemistry within itself. I don't know if we bonded it ever at one point this season also, just as a very close team throughout the season. And I don't know if it's because there's so many new players, so many new starters. The last year's team was a veteran team of guys that's been starting 2 and 3 and 4 years with Hamilton and Ringo and Alonzo Harris and our quarterbacks, Broadway, and so they had developed chemistry. Now you got new starters, new players from other places, and new starters, and young and old, and the chemistry probably is never developed here this year like it had been. And so that's something that you have to grow. That's something that has to be developed over time. And I'm hoping, that that we can eventually get to that. And that's got to be developed also in the off season too. It's right now we're not going to develop any more chemistry in the next 2 weeks than we have right now.
Has this been a learning experience for you as well? Just kind of being in this situation, maybe, well, definitely for the first time here.
Yeah, I think so. I think this was a totally new situation. We came in the season with still really high expectations. Knew it was a transitional year for us with our new quarterback and really not knowing who the quarterback is going to be, and a lot of new faces on both sides of the ball, new defensive staff. So it was a big transitional year. And beyond all the injuries and all the transition, if we could have pulled out a couple of close games 2 weeks in a row, we're sitting here 6-4 with the chance to be 8-4, 9-4. But like I said, the reality of it is we didn't get there, and it was just so many little things that you go back each week that you could point to. But the thing that you can still point to for me is that our kids are working awfully hard, and we talked about last night the Cajun standard. And we talked about all the players right now that are playing at our Cajun standard. And then we have some that their standard's not quite as high as our standard, but we will never lower our standard to meet the standards of others. They either got to raise up to our standard or they can't play. And so and I think our players, has been a part of our program. They get that. They know the Cajun way and the Cajun standard. And so that's why the efforts have been so good. So we've got to get better as a team. We've got to develop more chemistry, all those things that you got to do in the off season. But right now we've got to find a way, more importantly, to win a game that's coming up Saturday.
And yet, is it just one of those years you called the right defense was called? Couldn't have been executed any better, and yet they somehow completed a pass.
Sometimes it's just one of those things, one of those years. But if you have an experienced safety that's played cover two and you got a guy over the guy and a guy behind the guy, I can't ask for my defense coordinator to call a better defense. Can't. We got to put all 11 out there outside the hash on that play. Sometimes it just comes down to you got to execute the call and you got to play your responsibility. And we didn't do that on that call, or the fade route that they scored on with 3 minutes to go. Same exact defense was called. A man over numbered one, hold him up with a safety over the top, and the safety didn't get over the top after he got rerouted by the corner and catches the touchdown, and that's the difference between being 6-4 or 4-6. And so I think it's a learning experience for our guys to know that you've got to execute, you've got to do what you're coached to do, and the effort's been there. It's good effort, but sometimes effort alone is not good enough. And I talked to our guys, after a couple of weeks ago, I said, we're not going to work any harder, guys. We're working hard. I can't ask our guys to work any harder at practice. Man, they're working hard. We practice fast. We practice tough. The way we lift. But sometimes you got to practice smarter. You got to make sure when you're not in, you're getting a mental rep. And when you do get your reps, you got to make sure you're getting the most of every rep.
This week, a lot of challenges, obviously, beyond the fact that App State is really good. Difficult travel to get there. It's going to be cold. How do you
yeah. I don't know if you can get there from here. That's the thing that's difficult. We got to fly. Then we got to get about an hour and a half bus ride to the hotel. Then the day of the game, I think we got a 30-minute bus ride to the stadium. So it is not obviously like you just fly and land here and you're 2 minutes from the hotel. It is a challenge to get there, obviously, and the weather is going to be a challenge too. It's going to be probably pretty cold. Last year, I think about this time, we watched them play Georgia State because we were preparing to play Georgia State. And they had just got through playing Georgia State, and I think it's about this time of year, and it was snowing sideways. And Georgia State was a passing team trying to throw it every down, and the field was about 2 inches deep in snow. So that's going to be a challenge. Don't know if it's expecting snow or not, maybe some flurries, but it'll be pretty cool. Luckily, we've got cold weather here this week. So we're definitely going to get out there and hopefully try to get as used to the cold weather as we possibly can in a few days. But I'm glad it's gotten cold here this week for that reason.
Last 2 weeks have been huge for Jamal. What's the biggest difference you've seen in him? Has he been more vocal?
You know what? Maybe a little bit, but I think more or less he's 100% healthy. I think he's really been into the games. I think he's sort of rededicated himself to doing better. He's working hard, and he's got a great attitude. And boy, has he been productive. He has really had the last 2 or 3 games. He has been on fire. Well, hopefully he'll keep that up.
Coach, talk a little bit about the kids wanting to kind of pay back. How do you get them to focus in and go, look, all right, that's the point, but we also let's just go take care of the business.
Well, that's the main thing. We mentioned last year the roles were reversed. They weren't playing for the conference championship last year. We were, and now they're still in it. Theoretically, if Arkansas State could lose a game, they would have a chance to still be in it, and we're not in it this year. And so the roles are reversed. And so, and I was telling our team, if they can come and beat us at our place last year when we were really rolling and won 6 or 7 in a row, and coming off 4 straight bowl wins, then I definitely know we've got the football team to go up there and compete well and have an opportunity to win if we can play very well. But it's going to, it'll take a great effort, and we'll have to play much improved than we have over the last few weeks.
What lessons were learned last season from Marcus Cox, and how different is it this season since they're rolling in some other kids?
Well, one thing, you got to wrap this guy up. You've got to tackle, and we got to get a lot of hats to the ball. And the best way you play defense and the best way you tackle is you get a lot of people to the football. You got to have great pursuit to the football, and that's how you play the best defense you can play. Every defense is, if you play every defense the way they're supposed to be played, whether it's 4-2, 3-3, 3-4, 4-3, and it's gapped out, then you should be sound. But if you don't get in a gap, but you got a lot of people flying to the ball, then you got a much better chance to be successful. We'll need that with Cox, and they've played some other guys too, and like you mentioned. And so they've got a deep backfield. They've got a quarterback that's able to get the ball to everybody and run the ball very productive. And so they're an outstanding team, offensively and defensively. I just think they're really good across the board.
What's made them so good defensively? They led the conference in scoring.
One thing is, I was talking to our coach, I think they're very sound. They don't do a ton, but what they do, they're very sound about taking their gaps. Their front is not very big, but boy, are they sudden, and they get in their gaps, and they stay in their gaps, and they fit everything, it seems, just right in the secondary. They're what I would say airtight. They don't give you many opportunities for big hits. They're very sound, well coached, well prepared defense.
Has Brooks kind of taken the reins that quarter? I think Jalen had like 6 snaps or something like that last week, or is that just kind of a function of the defense?
Right now I'd say Jalen's a little bit ahead because of
You mean Brooks?
Brooks is a little bit ahead just for the fact that we played a little bit better offensively the other night. We was able to throw and catch pretty good. Jalen, though, still has got his strengths where he can really come in and help us run the option or the run game. But also, Jalen, at practice, I see him throw the ball every day and say, wow, man, that guy still throws the ball really good. So if needed, I know he could come in and execute, and he's still going to get to play. He'll still play this week, and so will Brooks will get to start, but Jalen will still play and have a role, and how big that role is would depend on how well we're doing. And so but hopefully we can continue improving offensively. And the main thing, though, is, we went back and looked, and, offensively, the thing I've been so proud of is we're taking care of the ball. With the exception of the late interception, we went another game without a turnover. And so, but what we're not getting is any turnovers defensively. We've got to get to where we could get one or two a game. We would be 7-3 right now. That's the difference is, when you cause turnovers and you don't turn the ball over, you're going to have a chance to win almost every time when you win a turnover battle. And this year, I think we've won every game we've played where we're undefeated, won all 4 games when we've won a turnover battle or tied. When we have not won a turnover battle, we have not won a game. So I tell our guys it's that simple all the time. But we got to get some balls out defensively, and boy, this week would be a great week to do that.
Coach, it seems that even sometimes when you're playing well on offense, when you get behind the chains, you're still getting sometimes caught behind the chains. Like the instance where Brooke came out, Jalen came in, there was a fumble on the exchange. Brooke comes back in his 3rd and 15, So is that still something that you're still going to have to work on? We could kind of clean that up a little bit, whether it's the penalties or something.
Well, whether it's a holding, just like at South Alabama, we had the holdings when our new lineman got in the game, and so now you've got false starts and those type of things that set you back. And then when you have a missed handoff, and now you drop the ball, now it goes from 1st and 10 to 1st and 15 or 2nd or 3rd and long. So that always getting behind the sticks is never what you want to do. And so, the more we can eliminate those things, the better. But, as far as Jalen, he hadn't had much problem with that all year long. It's just, it's just like when it rains, it pours. Just at the most misopportune time, some of those things have happened. And so we've got as a team, those guys have got to really eliminate those. And some things, sometimes they're due to maybe some snaps that are not quite there either. So we've got to try to eliminate those things. So this week, we've got to stay in 3rd and short versus this team. We're getting a lot of 3rd and longs against one of the top defenses in the conference. That'll make for a long day. So hopefully we can do better.
Coach, you talked about learning moments. Did Jerry Haynes learn about picking up punts after last week in that dangerous situation when he picked it up?
Yep. And I told Gary, though, I wanted him in our punt returns this year. We came into this game, or this year, with the approach of being more aggressive and catching some punts. Last year, it seemed like we let every punt hit and roll, and we wanted to get every one of them. That was probably a little ill-advised to catch that one, but he probably saved about 10 yards of roll by doing that. Might have been. There's a time to do that. That might have been a little tight, but there's times when you want to catch it, even if you just get tackled right away, to eliminate the 10-yard roll after it. So I want some guys back there that are fearless, and I think he's one of those guys. Eventually, one day, will be one of those fearless punt returners that has never seen a ball he didn't like, but he's got to be smart in that situation. But it did save us some yardage there.
There haven't been many conference games in your tenure where you guys have been big underdogs like this week. How do you think the guys react to that? Do you use it as motivation for you guys? Well,
I think that ought to be not necessarily a learning experience, but it ought to be some motivation. Very few times have we not been picked favorites, and so, but nevertheless, that's where we're at, and that's what we deserve right now by the way we're playing. And there were times last year we were picked to win this game, and we didn't win. So just because you're picked not to win don't mean you can't. And so with our guys, our kids know we've got the ability to do it. We just got to play 4 quarters, and both offense and defense has got to show up at the same time. All the variables that it takes to win a game. So hopefully it will do that.
Coach, coaching's a small fraternity. See things go on, coaching, fired, maybe fired, things of that nature. What are you thankful for with regards to the fact that, hey, look, we may be having a down year, but we've got a good program.
Well, you said exactly sort of what I told our team, and that's the last couple of meetings, but especially this past Sunday with our team. The message to our team was, we have a championship program. When you don't win a game, automatically, that don't mean you don't have a championship program. The way we do things, with the way our kids perform in the classroom, winning the Sun Belt Championship 2 years in a row academically, from just the last week, how our football team raised over $1,000 for a Christmas gift for a local family, to our 4 bowl wins we've had the last 4 years. Just because we don't win a game or two, or we have the season that we really wasn't counting on having, and the ball hadn't bounced our way, and we hadn't played as well as we would like. By no means does that take away on who these guys are. This is a championship football program by the way they work, by the way they act, by the way they dress, and the way they've played in the past, and the way they're going to play in the future. You find out a lot about yourself when you face with a little bit of adversity, and that's what makes champions. That's what makes steel even harder when you put it in the fire, and it makes it hotter. And sometimes you need a little setback to take a step back, to take a step forward, because that makes you sort of reevaluate your things you're doing, and you try to clean up some things, and you try to fine-tune some things, and you try to get that race car running even smoother than it was. Sometimes those race cars break down. You bring them to the garage and you fix them, and now they come back faster than ever. And so we've got a lot of talented young players on this team. We don't even mention those guys, because they're working out 4 days a week in the mornings in developmental weights, the Robert Hunts of the world, that are right now just scratching and clawing to get out there and be a part of this, and so they know they can be a difference. So, but that's for a later time. But these kids are working hard. They know they're part of a championship program, and we will no way in any shape be defined by one game, 2 games, or 1 season. I don't think any championship program is ever defined by that.
Is there any sort of word going around with the senior group not wanting to be the first group under you to not go to a bowl game?
Well, I would think any senior class probably in their minds. Obviously, you know, they want to finish strong. They want to go to a bowl game. They want, you know, who wouldn't? They want to win, you know, this week. They wanted to win last week. We just didn't play well enough to do that. And every senior class wants to have a great senior season. And we've got some senior leaders like Travian Anderson right now, Dominic Tovell. We got some senior leaders that are really have been working hard to be good leaders. And I'm hoping they can lead us to 2 victories here as we finish out this season to give us some extended play and get us to a bowl game. But for us, it's just the next game, conference game, road game. This is an important game for a lot of reasons, but most important because it's the next game, and we've got to be ready to play.
Do you have any Thanksgiving plans?
We do. Most of our guys, we got a lot of guys, the local kids, invite a lot of their position players to go home with them that are in the Acadiana area, Breaux Bridge, Cecilia area, Acadiana. And then for the players that do not have a home, we take the rest of the team. It could be up to 30 to 50 guys to the Petroleum Club for a huge Thanksgiving spread with all the trimmings. And we will practice before Thanksgiving. That I can assure you that, because after practice, I would be non-effective. I would look like Dave right there. I would be non-effective out there at practice after eating, like I'm probably going to eat for Thanksgiving. All right, thanks, guys.